right, let's be real for a second. Have you ever noticed how some people seem to live just to test your patience? Like it's their favorite hobby. They interrupt you mid-sentence. They throw in those sneaky little passive-aggressive jabs. Or they act like your time and feelings are just suggestions. And the worst part? We're expected to smile and just let it slide like we're in some polite robot competition. Well, guess what? Not today. If you're done being the emotional punching bag for people who don't know how to respect boundaries, this video is for you. Because today we're diving into some brutally honest and maybe a tiny bit controversial ways to deal with disrespect without exploding like a volcano or turning into a doormat. These tips are all about handling things with calm confidence and walking away with your dignity still fully intact. So buckle up, because by the time we're done, you'll have everything you need to draw the line so clearly that even the most clueless person couldn't miss it. Let's get into it. 1. Embrace the silent stare. Let's kick things off with one of my all-time favorite techniques. It's simple, it's savage. And yes, it's absolutely silent. I'm talking about the stare. Just a good old-fashioned long, quiet stare. No blinking, no smiling, no speaking, just stare. Now you might be thinking, seriously? Just stare at them? Yup, stay with me. When someone is being rude or straight up disrespectful, they are usually fishing for a reaction. They want to see you flustered or get defensive or maybe even snap back so they can say, "Whoa, look who's overreacting." They're basically drama vampires feeding off your energy. But when you just look at them totally calm like you're watching a loading screen that won't finish, suddenly the power shifts. They don't know what to do. They get confused. They start questioning themselves. It's like their brain freezes. Now, I know this might sound a little passive-aggressive, but honestly, it's not. It's just confusingly peaceful. And there's nothing more terrifying to someone trying to start chaos than a person who refuses to play along. That stare says a lot without saying anything. It says, "I see you. I'm not impressed, and I will not be participating in your nonsense today." Let me give you a real example. I was once in a team meeting and this guy just kept talking over me like it was his job. Every time I opened my mouth, he'd cut me off like he was the main character in a movie nobody wanted to watch. I tried being polite. I tried jumping in. Nothing worked. So I leaned back, folded my arms, and I just looked at him. No words, no reaction, just stared like I was watching paint dry. 5 full seconds. The room got quiet. The tension was so thick you could slice it like a birthday cake. Everyone else turned to look at him like, "Okay, bro, your move." And guess what? He got flustered. He stumbled over his words. He suddenly found the floor super interesting. And from that moment on, he didn't interrupt me again. Not once. In fact, he started acting like I was the boss. Wild. That silent stare did more than 100 well-crafted comebacks could have done. It didn't just stop him in the moment. It changed the dynamic completely. Sometimes silence speaks louder than anything you could say. And the beauty of it? You don't have to raise your voice. You don't have to explain yourself. You just be the calm in their storm. Let's take it even deeper. Because this isn't just a clever power move. This is a quiet reminder to them and to yourself that you do not have to perform for anyone. You don't owe anyone a big emotional response just because they're throwing negativity your way. You don't have to prove your worth to people who clearly don't see it. This is about owning your space, protecting your peace, and standing firm in your self-respect. Too often when someone disrespects us, we feel this urge to defend ourselves, to explain, to argue, or worse, to laugh it off like it didn't sting. But here's the truth. It did sting. And pretending it didn't just gives the other person more power. The silent stare takes all that power back. It says, I'm not going to fight you. I'm not going to entertain you. I'm just going to let your own behavior speak for itself. You ever seen someone argue with themselves because the other person refuses to play along? Hilarious, and also effective. People who regularly disrespect others usually get away with it because no one ever holds up the mirror. The silent stare is that mirror. You're not yelling at them. You're not calling them names. You're just letting them sit in the awkward silence they created. And you'd be shocked how fast people start acting right when they're forced to actually think about what they just said. And you know what else? This trick doesn't just stop them. It builds you. Every time you choose calm over chaos, you build your own inner strength. Every time you stare instead of snap, you're teaching yourself that you are in control, that your energy is valuable, that you don't have to stoop to their level just to feel heard. I used to be the kind of person who would awkwardly laugh at rude jokes or over-explain myself just to avoid confrontation. And guess what? I still felt terrible afterward. It never worked. I just gave away my peace for free. But the first time I held a silent stare, total game changer. It felt like the quietest act of rebellion, like saying, I know my worth and I'm not afraid to show it, with complete and utter silence. So next time someone is rude, cuts you off, or tries to make you feel small, just stop. Look at them. No words, no emotion. Just let that silence do the talking. You'll be surprised how quickly the room shifts, how fast they start to squirm, and most importantly, how powerful you feel in that moment. Because the silent stare says one thing loud and clear: I respect myself too much to waste my time on your nonsense. And that's a message worth sending. Part 2. Embrace silence as your answer. Let me tell you a little secret weapon that not many people use, but absolutely should. It's something powerful, underrated, and often misunderstood. You ready for it? Silence. Yep, just good old silence. Now you might be thinking, wait a minute, silence? That's it? Doesn't that feel weak? Trust me, I get it. It might seem like silence means you're letting someone get away with disrespect, like you're just sitting there doing nothing while someone throws shade your way. But that's not what's happening at all. Silence is not weakness. It's not passiveness. It's actually a choice. And not just any choice, it's one of the boldest moves you can make. See, when someone disrespects you, they usually want a reaction. They want drama. They want you to snap back, argue, or defend yourself. They're basically trying to pull you into their mess. But when you stay silent, when you just stare at them like they're not even worth your breath, oh man, that silence hits harder than any comeback line. That silence makes them sit alone with their own nonsense. And let me tell you, that silence, it's loud, like louder than a mic drop at a rap battle. Here's why this works so well. People who go around disrespecting others, they feed off your energy. They live for the drama. If you respond, even a little, it's like tossing them a snack. But when you stay silent, you're basically saying, nope, I'm not feeding your nonsense today. It's like you're holding up a big invisible sign that says, you're not worth my energy. And trust me, that drives them crazy. Let me share a little story. There was this guy I used to work with. He had this habit of making slick little comments, those backhanded jokes that aren't really jokes. You know the type. He'd say something shady about my work, but wrap it in a laugh so he could play it off. One day, he said something totally unnecessary, clearly trying to get a rise out of me. Normally, I would have explained myself or snapped back. But this time, I didn't say a word. I just looked at him, gave him the classic eyebrow raise, and then silence. Nothing. Not a single syllable. He didn't know what to do. It was awkward. He mumbled something and walked away. Guess what? That was the last time he tried it. Silence shut it all down. That's the power of keeping quiet. It starves their need for attention. It makes them realize that if you don't react, they have nothing to work with. No fuel for the fire, just silence. And here's the deeper part. When you choose silence, you're actually choosing yourself. You're saying, I value my peace more than I value your opinion. And honestly, that's revolutionary. We live in a world where we feel like we have to respond to everything, defend every move, explain every decision. But you don't have to play that game. You can choose peace. You can choose not to let someone else's drama invade your space. Silence isn't just a way to control a situation. It's a way to protect your energy. Think of it like this. Silence is your personal filter. It blocks out the negativity people try to throw at you. When you stop reacting to every rude comment or passive-aggressive jab, you become free. You stop letting people get under your skin. You stop letting them in. You take your power back. And let me be real with you. I didn't learn this overnight. I used to feel like I had to defend myself every time someone said something out of pocket. I thought silence made me look weak. But then I noticed something weird. Every time I did respond, I felt worse, drained, angry, frustrated. But the times I said nothing, I felt lighter, stronger, like I was in control. Like I had just won the invisible battle without throwing a punch. So here's my challenge to you. Next time someone tries to push your buttons, take a breath, look them in the eye, and say absolutely nothing. Let the silence speak for itself. You'll be shocked at how powerful it feels, because sometimes the loudest answer is no answer at all. Part 3. Stop explaining your choices. Okay, real talk. This one's gonna hit home. Stop explaining your choices. Like, seriously, just stop. How many times have you made a decision, just a simple decision for your own life, only for someone to immediately pop up with 100 questions? Why'd you do that? Why didn't you go to the party? Why'd you leave that job? Why are you wearing that? It's like people think they have a VIP pass to your life decisions. Spoiler alert, they don't. Here's the truth that might sound a little spicy. You don't owe anyone an explanation. Not your coworkers, not your friends, not even your nosy Aunt Karen. Your choices are yours, and you don't need to explain or justify them to people who aren't living your life or walking in your shoes. Now I get it. We've been trained to believe we have to explain everything. We don't want people to think we're rude or weird or secretive. But the thing is, most of the time, the people asking aren't looking to understand. They're looking to judge. They're trying to poke holes in your decision. They want to make you second-guess yourself. Or worse, they want to feel better about their own choices by making you question yours. But here's where it flips. When you stop explaining yourself, you take your power back. You remind people that your life isn't a group project. It's not open for discussion. And now let's break it down even more. Why do people feel so entitled to an explanation anyway? It's simple. A lot of people get uncomfortable when someone chooses something different. Your confidence threatens their comfort zone. Your choices shine a light on their insecurities. And instead of doing their own inner work, they just question yours. But here's the deal. You don't have to play that game. You don't have to sit there and explain why you said no. You don't need a PowerPoint presentation for why you're following your passion instead of their advice. Just live your truth, quietly, confidently, without the need for approval. Because at the end of the day, it's your life, your rules, your timeline, not theirs. And if someone really respects you, they won't demand explanations. They'll support your growth, even when they don't fully get it. So the next time someone asks you to explain a personal decision, just smile, maybe throw in a little shrug, and say, because I wanted to. That's it. That's the whole explanation. Because honestly, that's all the explanation anyone should ever need. Have you ever made a decision and suddenly people around you start acting like you've committed a crime? like you just told them you were quitting your job to become a professional skydiver or moving to a cabin in the woods to talk to squirrels. It's not always about your decision being wrong. A lot of the time, it's because your choice shakes up their version of the world. You might be taking a bold step they're too scared to take themselves. Or maybe you're stepping away from the usual safe path they've gotten a little too cozy with. See, your courage to do things differently can make other people uncomfortable. Not because you're doing anything bad, but because it reminds them of everything they're not doing. So what do? They start asking questions, not because they're curious in a kind way, but because they want to pull you back into the little comfort box that makes them feel better. And here's where things get interesting. Just because they're uncomfortable doesn't mean you have to turn into a human therapist. You are not a 24/7 help desk for their insecurity. Your life isn't a public service announcement. You're not required to go around explaining your every move like it's a courtroom trial. I remember when I decided to switch careers. I left a stable job, the kind with benefits, coffee breaks, and awkward birthday cakes in the break room, to do something that actually excited me. Yes, it had more risk. Yes, it was scary, but it felt right. You'd think I told people I was moving to Mars. The reactions were wild. Why would you leave a good job? What are you going to do now? How are you going to make money? At first, I tried to explain. I'd go on and on about how I wanted more meaning in my work, how I had a plan, how I'd done the research, made spreadsheets, talked to mentors, you name it. But no matter how detailed I got, it was never enough. The more I explained, the more people poked holes in my plan. I felt like I was in a job interview that never ended. Then one day, I decided to try something different. Someone asked me, "Why did you leave that job?" And I just said, "Because I wanted to." That's it. No essay, no backstory. Just one sentence. And let me tell you, it felt amazing. The silence that followed, pure gold. People didn't know what to do. I had taken away their power to challenge me by giving them nothing to argue with. And you know what? They eventually stopped asking. Here's the beautiful thing about not explaining yourself. It's like setting yourself free. It's standing in your truth and saying, "I don't need your permission to live my life." Your decisions are valid for the simple reason that you made them. When you stop explaining everything, you stop carrying the heavy load of trying to make everyone else feel okay with your path. That energy you were using to defend yourself, you can now use it to actually live your life. There's a powerful lesson here. Your life doesn't need an audience vote. This isn't a talent show. Not every choice you make needs a review or a group discussion. And when you stop explaining, you're quietly telling the world, "I'm confident in what I'm doing, and I don't need your applause." Think about it. When was the last time you saw someone truly confident explaining every detail of their life choices? Probably never. Because confident people don't look for permission. They just do. Now, I wasn't always like this. I used to be that person giving full TED Talks on why I was changing my hair, switching my gym, or ordering salad instead of fries. I'd over-explain just to make everyone else feel comfortable. But in the process, I started second-guessing myself. So I made a little deal with myself. If someone asks about a decision, I give a short answer, 1 or 2 lines max. If they keep pressing, I smile and move on. No drama, no debates. And guess what? Life got a whole lot lighter. The more I stopped explaining myself, the stronger I felt in my own skin. My confidence grew. I trusted myself more. It was like clearing out mental space to actually enjoy the choices I was making. So here's a challenge for you. Next time someone questions your choices, don't jump into explanation mode. Just say, "Because I wanted to," or "It felt right to me." Then let the silence do the heavy lifting. Watch how powerful that moment is. You'll feel a sense of control you didn't even know you had. You'll feel calm, centered, and proud of standing your ground. And the best part? You'll start to realize your choices don't need anyone else's stamp of approval. They're already valid because they're yours. Now let's talk about something equally important: keeping your distance. Look, sometimes the healthiest and smartest thing you can do is step back from people who don't respect you. I know that might sound a little cold, maybe even heartless, but it's not about being mean. It's about protecting your peace. Not everyone deserves a front row seat to your life. Some people belong way up in the nosebleeds, maybe even outside the stadium. If someone constantly disrespects you, crosses your boundaries, or brings negative energy, keeping your distance is not just okay. It's necessary. It doesn't mean you hate them. It just means you're choosing to love yourself more. Imagine your life is a VIP club. You've only got so many spots at your table. Why give those seats to people who don't even bring napkins, let alone good energy? Distance helps you think clearly. It gives you the emotional space to see things for what they really are, without guilt, without pressure. When you're too close to the noise, it's hard to hear your own voice. Keeping disrespectful people close is like giving them an all-you-can-eat buffet pass to your emotions. They'll take and take your time, your energy, your peace, and then complain about the seasoning. And then we wonder why we feel so drained. Pulling back isn't cruel. It's self-preservation. It's saying, I respect myself too much to keep letting you drain me. Let go of the guilt. You're not a bad person for wanting peace. You're not dramatic for setting boundaries. You're being wise, and trust me, when you create space, you make room for better things, healthier people, brighter energy, stronger you. So remember this, you don't owe anyone an explanation, and you don't have to let everyone in. Protect your energy like it's gold. Because honestly, it is. You deserve to live boldly, authentically, and free. You know what's truly freeing? It's realizing that you don't have to keep disrespectful people in your life just because they've been around for a while. Let me tell you a little story. I had this friend, and by friend, I mean someone who somehow made every conversation feel like a roast session. My career choices were always interesting, my relationships were questionable, and my music taste. Well, apparently I listened to noise with rhythm. At first, I laughed it off. I thought, maybe they're just being honest. Maybe I'm too sensitive. So I kept them around like a pair of uncomfortable shoes. They didn't fit, but I convinced myself they'd break in eventually, but they never did. In fact, those little comments, those jokes, started to sting more over time. It wasn't just teasing anymore. It felt like I had to armor up every time we hung out, like I was going into battle armed with fake smiles and nervous laughter. Then one day, I tried something radical. I didn't announce it on social media or start a dramatic confrontation. I just quietly started pulling away. Instead of seeing them every week, I'd see them once a month. Then maybe not at all. And guess what? I felt lighter. Not like just got out of the gym lighter, more like just dropped a backpack full of bricks lighter. That space gave me clarity. I looked back and thought, wait a minute. Why was I bending over backwards to keep someone in my life who treated me like a punchline? Let's be real. Some people will say, keeping your distance is selfish. They'll say, but they're family, or you've known them since you were kids. Like that's a valid excuse to let someone treat you like a doormat. Newsflash. Being loyal doesn't mean being a punching bag. Forgiving someone doesn't mean inviting them back to hurt you again. And being nice doesn't mean setting yourself on fire to keep someone else warm. Want to know a little secret? Protecting your peace isn't selfish, it's survival. It's you saying, I love myself too much to keep tolerating this mess. You are not here to be anyone's emotional garbage can or their personal cheerleader while they throw shade at your life. Sometimes, the most powerful thing you can do is just step back quietly. No drama, no shouting, just space. And that space, it's not empty. It's full of something important. It's where you rediscover your worth, where you build real connections with people who don't make you question your value, where you remember that your time, your energy, and your mental health are sacred. I used to feel guilty about it too. Trust me, I'd lie awake wondering, am I being too harsh? What if they think I'm a bad person? But I realized something. That guilt I felt wasn't mine to carry. It was placed there by people who benefited from my discomfort. The second I stopped prioritizing their feelings over my peace, I started to grow. I had more energy, more joy, more space for people who actually liked me for me, not for who they wanted me to be. So here's a little challenge. Think about the people in your life who always make those cutting comments, who drain your energy faster than a phone on 2%, who make you feel small even if it's with a smile on their face. Now ask yourself this simple but powerful question. Do they really deserve this much access to me? If the answer is no, you already know what to do. All right, let's talk about something that never goes out of style. Holding your head high. I know it sounds like the kind of thing your grandma would say after a breakup, but hear me out. This advice is timeless and powerful. When someone disrespects you, their goal, whether they admit it or not, is to make you feel small. They want you to doubt yourself, to shrink into the background, to feel less than them. But when you walk in with your shoulders back, your eyes up, and your head high, you send a silent but loud message: I know who I am, and you don't get to decide my worth. Confidence is like kryptonite to disrespectful people. It confuses them. It frustrates them. Because suddenly their little jabs don't land anymore. You're out of their reach like a balloon they let go of on a windy day. And the best part is, you don't even have to say a word. Just your posture, your energy, your unbothered vibe does the talking. I remember being around someone who just couldn't help themselves, always throwing in those playful insults, the kind that make you laugh, but then later you're like, wait, was that an actual compliment or a sneak attack? At first I laughed along. I didn't want to seem too sensitive, but inside it chipped away at me. Then one day I said, nope, not today. I walked in like I owned the place. Head high, smile ready, and every time they tried to get under my skin, I just looked at them, smiled, and moved on. And you know what happened? They backed off. It was like my confidence created a force field. They realized their words had no power here. That's what happens when you stop playing small. You start teaching people how to treat you. So here's your takeaway. You don't have to fight. You don't need a speech. Just hold your head high, step back from those who don't treat you right, and give your energy to people who respect your worth. Because once you know what you deserve, you'll stop entertaining anything that doesn't feel like peace. And that, my friend, is real power. Their power started to fade the moment you stopped lowering your head. There's something powerful, almost magnetic, about walking through life with your head held high. It's like an invisible shield. You're not shouting, you're not bragging, you're simply saying, I'm good with who I am. And that alone makes you untouchable. Now here's where it gets a little spicy. Some people just can't handle that kind of confidence. It messes with their brain like trying to solve a puzzle with missing pieces. They want to believe they're better than you, that they've got something on you, something you should feel bad about. So when you show up with confidence, unapologetic and calm, it breaks the story they've created in their heads. And for them, that's frustrating, almost offensive. Let's be real. Society doesn't always know what to do with people who actually like themselves, especially people who refuse to let negativity stick to them like duct tape. When you don't flinch, when you don't shrink, when you just keep walking tall, some folks will see that as a threat. Not because you're doing anything wrong, but because they wish they had that same courage. And yeah, sometimes that makes you a target. People might try to tear you down, poke at your confidence, or throw shade just to see if you'll break. But here's the secret. Holding your head high isn't about them. It's not about proving anything. It's about you. It's about showing up in your own life fully aware of your worth, knowing deep down that you've got nothing to prove. And when you do that, when you live like your value isn't up for debate, it's honestly one of the boldest things you can do. It's an act of quiet rebellion. It says, I know who I am and I'm not here to convince you. See, every time you hold your head high, you're sending a message, not just to the world, but to yourself. You're saying, I matter. I deserve respect. I'm already enough just as I am. That's not arrogance, that's self-respect. And let me tell you something. Big self-worth isn't something you borrow from other people. It's something you claim. You reach out, take it, and say, this is mine. You don't need applause or approval. You don't need someone to validate your confidence with a thumbs up. You just walk forward as if everything you need is already inside you. Because it is. Really it is. Holding your head high is a reminder that you are the main character in your story. Not a sidekick, not an extra, the lead role. And guess what? No one else gets to edit your script unless you hand them the pen. And the more you live like this, the less those little jabs and subtle insults will even matter. You won't have time for that noise. You'll be too busy living your own life, staying in your own lane, owning your own power. People can throw shade, but if you've got your own sunshine, their darkness won't mean a thing. Now, I'm not going to lie to you. This didn't come easy for me. I used to shrink. Literally. I'd slump my shoulders, avoid eye contact, mumble my words like I was apologizing for existing. When someone said something hurtful, I'd carry it like a backpack full of bricks. It felt safer to fade into the background, to not be noticed. But slowly I began to notice something. Every time I stood up straighter, every time I pushed my shoulders back and held my head high, I felt stronger, like I was planting a flag and saying, I'm here and I'm not going anywhere. And with each little act of defiance, I felt more like me. It wasn't about being loud or cocky. It was about showing myself a little respect, even when others didn't, especially when others didn't. Because here's the truth. Holding your head high isn't just a body language trick. It's a mindset. It's how you carry your heart and your thoughts. It's the way you walk into a room, not like you own it, but like you belong in it. You always did. Don't twist and bend to fit into someone else's tiny box of who they think you should be. If someone makes a snide comment, let it float by like a balloon you didn't ask for. Don't catch it. It's not for you. It's probably just their own insecurity dressed up in sarcasm, so why should you take it seriously? Here's a little challenge for you. The next time someone tries to cut you down with a passive-aggressive jab or a direct insult, don't react. Don't snap back. Just pause, take a deep breath, square your shoulders, lift your chin, and look them calmly in the eye. Not in a rude way, just a quiet, I see you, but I'm above this kind of way. You'll feel something shift inside you. That's your power waking up. That's the peace that comes from not letting someone else's words reach your core. That's freedom. Because holding your head high is more than just looking confident. It is confidence. The kind that doesn't need to shout. It says, I know who I am. I value who I am. And no one else gets to change that. At the end of the day, the foundation of respect doesn't come from outside. It starts with you. The more you respect yourself, the less space there is for anyone else's disrespect to live rent-free in your mind. So stand tall, own your story. Know that your worth isn't up for negotiation. You don't need to bend over backwards trying to make people see your value. If they don't see it, that's They are blind spot, not your problem. You don't need permission to take up space. You don't need approval to speak up. Life's too short to live small just to make other people comfortable. Some people just won't get it, and maybe they never will. But that's okay. The good news is you get to choose what kind of energy you allow into your life. You get to choose how you're treated. You get to set the tone and raise the bar. And the wild part? The more you live with self-respect, the more you start attracting people who see your light and actually want to add to it, not dim it. People who lift you up, not drag you down. So here's your reminder. You've got the power. You've had it all along. Claim it. Protect your peace. Walk away from what doesn't serve you, and never ever apologize for choosing yourself. Thanks so much for watching. If this spoke to you, give it a thumbs up, and maybe hit subscribe for more uplifting content on owning your life and building real confidence. And hey, if you know someone who needs a little boost today, share this with them. Drop a comment below if you've ever dealt with disrespect or had to set a boundary that changed everything. I'd love to hear your story. Until next time, take care, stay strong, and remember, true respect always starts with you.